I trust that everything happens for a reason, even if we are not wise enough to see it, said Oprah Winfrey. And that is totally what describes today. Ladies and gentlemen, dear judge, dear opposition team, good morning. As you all see, today we are all gathered here for a cause, which is debating and discussing a topic that concerns us all as future citizens, a subject that plays an important role in your, my, their life as human beings, a subject that leads to make us think about multiple questions such as, what makes me happy? We all pass by the day when you're laying on your bed, not finding what to do, thinking about your problems, your insecurities, and then you ask yourself, what makes me happy? What should I achieve in my life to be happy? What are the things that brings me happiness? Those famous questions that I'm sure most of us thought about one day, even our dear opponents. You see, this topic that arises as bank loans has made Moroccans' life easier, opened up many doors to us, even to our intimate moments. And now I can see our dear opponents coming at me like, what is the relationship between this and the subject, and so on and so on. Dear opposition team, dear audience, don't worry, I'm gonna make it clear to each one of you. But before we get deeper, we must define some terms that will help us in analyzing this topic, such as bank loans. So first, what is a bank loan? According to Collins Dictionary, bank loans is a sum of money borrowed by a customer from a bank in order to start a business, build a charity, or anything you want. But the question that most of us think about right now is that do really bank loans make our life easier? Now, we go back to our old friends, those famous questions that takes part in our life. As an answer to that, to be happy, you have to have an easier life. And to have an easier life, you have to achieve your goal, which can be getting a great job, making something unique, getting rich, or even living peacefully with your loved one. And the list is so long. And how you reach that? Simply, it's by having a bank loans. Bank loans that helps you get a job, start a family, and in general, making your life easier. And of course, as we all know that actions speaks louder than words, I will use an example to ensure on what I just called before. An example of a simple man who achieved the impossible. A man who chose to risk it all, and now his company is one of the biggest and successful companies ever. This man started just by having a loan of $250,000. And now he is the most famous person ever. As you all guess, the man I'm talking about is Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. This man sacrificed his whole life and put his whole trust in bank loans. And even though he's dead right now, he succeeded to be the most famous and successful person ever. You see that just by having a small bank loan, you could achieve your goal. You could be yourself. You could be respected. You could be a legend that marks the history. You could be of a help to your country, your family, even yourself. You could be happy. Or even more, you could have an easier life. And thank you.
Patrick Rutherford said once, there are two ways to lose a friend. One is to borrow and the other is to lend. Actually, in relation with this somehow, our team is saying today, there is one way to lose your life. It is to take a bank loan. Dear audience, good morning. I want you to take all your caution and stop worrying, because my team and I are here for you today, are here to defend our position and to protect you so you won't get intoxicated by this statement, nor with all the arguments that are supporting it, and to show you that bank loans hasn't made Moroccans' life easy at all. So, before to get started, I would like to explain some words, main words of the topic that you would deal with all along the debate. So first, bank loans. It is an agreement about a certain amount of money that the borrowers must pay back to the bank at a specific increment, at a specific interest rate. Then, interest rate. It is the fee to borrow the money. It is a rule in all over the world that interest must be paid on the borrowed money. But can I say something about interest? Well, interest never sleeps. nor dies, nor sickness. It never goes to the hospital. It works on Sundays and holidays. It never takes a vacation. Once you take a debt, and once you take a bank loan, interest is your companion. Each minute of the day and night, you cannot dismiss it. You cannot slip away from it. And whenever you get to its ways, or fail to meet its demands, it crushes you. From this and more, we'll show you how the bank loans affect our life emotionally and financially, and more. Well, you over there, do you wish to have a car? Or wish to have a home? You don't have the amount to? It's okay. The bank is here for you. The bank is here to afford the amount to. The bank can make it easy for you. But first, my dear friend, let me calculate you the stuff. So the amount of the house, plus the amount of the car, plus those high and great interest rates, and plus the period, then my dear, I think that the bank gonna owe you money for your whole life. So that was one from the ironic example representing all the others. So you could all recognize how the bank loan causes you to pay more than the item cost, borrows from your future income, and stop you from accomplishing your future goal. So you will be like those baby boomers who are forced to work even after their retirement age because of debt. So why all this? Keep away yourself from debt.
Dear audience, judges, member of the opposition, hello. Today, my teammates and I are going to debate a subject that concerns all of us as Moroccans. Well, I bet you all have a member of your family, a friend, or maybe someone you just met that have had a bank loan or benefits from it, right? Well, everyone needs money at every stage of their life. Sometimes it so happens that they have keen desire to pursue their dreams, but they are incapable due to shortage of money. Here lies the question that a person who does not have enough money has no right to see dreams. Is he not authorized to fulfill his desire? Should he stop dreaming? Well, the answer is no, because there is a solution for all these queries. Loans are available for this purpose only. Bank loans are provided to people for such critical circumstances which may occur at any time. In anyone's life, a situation may come when all of a sudden you require cash, a moment when you do not want to borrow cash from your relatives. They may occur any kind of emergency when you need a huge amount of money. There are various types of bank loans, such as business loans, education loans, home loans, etc. For each and every kind of need, you can take a loan. Taking loans credit is called leverage in simple financial terms. It simply means that when you don't have own capital, you just borrow others' capital to use and pay a rent for it. Well, to clarify what are loans, I'm going to give you a simple example. Loans are exactly like living in a rented house. So the rent you pay is the interest of the loan, and the house you're living is the capital you borrowed from the bank. While it is completely possible to leave that free, it is not necessarily smart. Very few people earn enough money to pay cash for life's most important purchases, such as car, a home, or a college education. The most important consideration while taking out a loan is whether the debt is a good loan or a bad one. Well, the definition of a good debt is an investment that will grow in value or generate income interest. Taking out a student loan, for example, is a good debt because the interest is low and the studies you're doing are going to improve your financial situation in the future. We're taking an example of business loan. Business loans is a good example for a good loan because it has a low interest and the tax is deductible. So while loans is essential, planned use and serviceability of that loan is more essential. In effect, planned productive use of loans is okay, but adventurous speculation with loaned funds is suicidal. In short, the impact of loans on a particular economy will depend on its use. Thank you.
Speaking of bank loans, the other day while I was at my grandpa's house, my uncle was expressing how much he wanted to get a new car. The Volvo X50 to be precise. He then started talking about all the techs and specs that he likes about it. He was also expressing his sadness because he couldn't afford it. Then my aunt jumped out of nowhere and was like, "Oh, just shut up and get a goddamn loan." I started hearing the sentence everywhere I go. You want a new car? Get a loan. Want a new house? Get a loan. Want to pay your study fees? Get a loan. Moroccans think that this is the solution to everything, where it really is not. Dear opponents, dear audience, welcome. Today my team and I are discussing a topic, a hot one actually, which concerns me, you, and even you, dear audience, because whose parents or family member have never taken a loan? But before diving into this subject, let me give you my top 3 reasons why you shouldn't get a loan. Number 1, it encourages you to keep spending money on things you can even afford. Number 2, it keeps you from accomplishing your life goals, because the more money you accumulate, the more monthly payments will be, and the less money you'll have to spend on anything you want else, including going to a vacation in your dream location or buying your dream car. Number 3, it can lead to stress and severe medical problems. When you have an unpaid loan, it's hard to not worry about how you're going to pay it off. The stress from debt can lead to... I refuse. The stress from debt can lead to severe health problems, including migraines, depression, and even heart attacks. If stress and serious medical problems, plus having tons of payments each month, make your life easier, then yeah, you can say that bank loans have really made Moroccans' life easier. Moving on. Now has come the time for me to tell you a story. The story of Hisham, a physics teacher that earns 60,000 dirhams a month, and who is the father of 3 children and the husband of a lovely wife called Fatima. Hisham took his first loan in 1999 to pay his wedding costs, and before paying it off, he took another one, an amount of 40,000 dirhams to buy a car. And here comes the third and the bigger loan, an amount of 600,000 dirhams to buy an apartment. And that's how, dear audience and dear opponents, Hisham only has 40% of his salary left to pay all his spendings, including his bills and his children's school fees. You may say that this is the story of one man among 40 million others, but in fact it is not. Because according to Bank al-Maghrib, over 1 million Moroccans have at least took one bank loan in their lifetime. Thank you.
If you try to avoid risk, you're actually risking total failure. Or worse, mediocrity. Said Reid Othman, ladies and gentlemen, dear judge, dear opposition team, good morning. Everyone has the chance to be rich. Everyone has the chance to be happy. Everyone has the chance to be this or that person that he wants to be. But not everyone knows how to seize this chance. You can be the strong person that everyone respects, or you can be that loser that everyone mistreats. The thing that no one will want for himself is not their opponents. Every day, we're seeing factors succeeding, but the only thing that we're up to say is, if the director doesn't have all that money since the beginning, he won't be able to reach that summit. But let me tell you one thing. This director that you see there, his parents died in an accident when he was a little kid. This director that you see there had to be always independent. He had to work for himself because no one will do. He was strong and intelligent, but he was poor. And he couldn't borrow money from anyone since he didn't know anyone. His family abandoned him and he had no friend to shoulder him. He was poor and homeless. One day, a man came to him and gave him this card. This famous card that changed all his life. It says that bank will help you. It will give you all the money that you need, except that you have to return the money taken within a specific time. He thought loads until he decided to seize this chance. He was up doing something that everyone is afraid to do because of people's stereotypes. He started by building a small business until he became the most rich man in all over the world. It's a great story, isn't it? Something that I really appreciate about story is that they are realized in your life. You know, the story could be that boy there, that girl here, or
Point
even
of information.
not taken, or my personal story. Who knows? But it's the story of large number of successful people in all over the world. Bank loans are made for giving people a second chance, which is their right as a human being. And certainly, it is not made for rotting the life. Bank loans help people to realize their childhood dream, even though if he didn't have the money needed at that specific moment. It could help you to buy the Mercedes, the BMW, the Lamborghini, or even the Ferrari of your dreams. In fact, the official page of popular banks says that personal car credit new is a loan that allows you to finance up to 75% the purchase of a new car with a ceiling of 500,000 dirham and a repayment period up to 60 months. So know, dear audience, you have two choices. Either you listen to my team and I and be the strong person who was up to realize this rich person who was up to realize his dreams, who will be proud of himself during all the rest of his life. By listening to us, you can come in a Ferrari in front of the house of that teacher who kept saying that he was a loser. So you can tell her how much did you succeed, even though if she didn't believe in you. Or you can listen to them and be that loser. Thank you.
Hey, so without any introductions, let's get right into the subject, because it's a serious one that affects our society directly. Let's talk about the types of loans. So there are two types. The first one requires some kind of collateral, which means that before taking a loan, the bank needs to have access to one of your properties, just in case you're evading paying your debts. The second type is called unsecured loans. So you don't actually need to insure your loan, but you're hit with the highest interest rates. Now let's get into the advantages. Number one, repayment burden. It means that borrowers must make periodic payments to their banks. Those who fall behind on payment face the prospect of having their assets seized. Even if you manage to make late payments, your bank could still report you to the credit bureaus, a move that negatively affects your credit score. With a lower credit score, it's much difficult to get a future loan. Denied. Number two, irregular payments. Irregular payment amounts. If you get a bank loan with a variable interest rate, the rate changes each month, which means that the bank actually controls how much you pay each month. So in a nutshell, the bank controls all of your profit. And because banks now have the upper hand in legal stuff, you're just sentenced to pay what the bank offers you. Have you ever heard of a man who sued a bank? Exactly. You can't make legal actions against the bank if they control their interests. But what about them? They shouldn't be able to do that, right? Well, no, they can. They can ensure getting their interest back by any means necessary, which means that they can put people in jail just because they were late paying their debts. That's right. Banks are the dictators of our generation. If you want to have a good life, you will have to take a bank loan. If you do that, you turn into the bank's slave. You just have to follow their orders to continue living with the hope of one day repaying your debts. Number three, partial funding requirements. So in the case of term loans, every bank has its own set of criteria as to partial payment requirements from the borrower. The partial payment may range from 10% up to 40% in some cases. For example, if you want to borrow 100,000 dirhams for one of your future businesses, you will have to you will have to invest between 10,000 dirhams and 40,000 dirhams before taking the loan. If you don't have sufficient funds for partial payments, then the bank will just reject your loan application. I can't mention all the dangers of loans because of the time limit, but in the end, after hearing all this, do you think, dear opponents, that taking a loan and risking your life and your children's future for a car or a house is actually worth it? Well, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
Members of the jury, dear audience, assalamu alaikum. Lovely to see you all here. So, because you didn't let me take any point of information, I will address my question here. Since you are talking about how loans are bad and it only makes people live in misery, can you give us any solution? Can you propose it to us in your next intervention? Yeah. So, for each, I will start by pointing out something. For each person that you said lived in misery or even died because of loans, I will tell you that there are 5 other Moroccans who managed to get out of their situation thanks to whom? Thanks to bank loans. We'll probably say that it is pure hypothesis. I will give you the source with the statistics. According to the World Bank report, that made a research on Morocco on December 2018, they found that 75% of Moroccans are in debt. Now, from those 75%, 59% of them managed to get out of this situation. They managed to get from the poor lifestyle to a better lifestyle, thanks to whom, once again, thanks to bank
Point
loans.
of information.
Yes, please. Can you please make it quick?
Since the beginning, you've been talking about happiness, but the motion is bank loans have made Moroccans' life easier. I just said in my intervention that bank loans leave you in complete stress and cause severe medical problems. How can stress and severe medical problems make your life easier or happier?
Well, here you took a small portion of people and you try to deny it. I told you that 75% of Moroccans, are you saying that 75% of Moroccans are living in stress? No, in your next intervention, please. So, here I will tell you something. My beloved audience, don't just go and hear what all of the things they are saying, because here they are telling you that you should be afraid of taking risks, that you should be afraid of losing. But why? This isn't a fairy tale. We are living in the real world. I'm not denying the fact that it's going to be hard. It's not going to kill you. At first, once you are brave enough to go to the bank and take a loan, it will be difficult for sure. But as each day passes by step, little by little, things will for sure get better. And if you aren't ready to lose something, then how can you possibly win everything? And also, if you aren't ready to get your hands dirty, how can you be a successful person? I will tell you a story. A story, you know what? Who am I? Apart from being this debater who wants nothing but the best for you, I also happen to be someone who has a 9-to-5 job, sitting all day long behind an office or a computer, doing nothing but bowing to my boss when I see him. But you know what? This isn't me. I want to be rich, and so do you. You. Oh, you too, you want to be rich. You want to be a billionaire, even so. I have a project in mind, and how can I fulfill it? I will go to the bank, take a loan. Why? Because my pockets are as empty as some of their arguments. I will go to the bank, take a loan, and be brave enough, be courageous enough to start it. As it will be difficult at first. I will find it hard, but no, I will manage to succeed. I will be I became financially independent, financially secure, a millionaire after, and a billionaire. You know who I am? I am Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Shebi, since we are in a Moroccan context. You know the difference between you and us, dear opponents, is that you want to lose small, we want to win big. And, ladies and gentlemen, the ball is now in your side. You can choose to do whatever you want with it. You can either score it like Lionel Messi would do and leave the game as the greatest of all times, or you can miss it like Higuain would do and be nothing but a bad memory. You choose.
Breaking news. Bank law has made Moroccan life much easier. What a joke. What a joke. Do you think their government... I swear that was the most funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Do you think their government, that bank loans are given to people who are unemployed, to people who can't even afford a house, or to people who can't even pay the rent of the house, to people who can't even have an account in the bank, to people who have already legal precedents? If yes, but you must see a doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As it is mentioned on the screen, today we'll be debating about bank law, and my team and I decided to give you a tutorial about a person called Bushaib, who decided to take a bank law. But bear in mind, dear government, we're not joining your position. Here's some few facts about Bushaib. Bushaib is a person who is living in Derbban in Marrakesh, one of the poorest square in Marrakesh. Bushaib is a 40 years old who is working as a security guard in Morocco. So, number one, Bushaib needs to go to a bank. Number two, Bushaib needs to wait for a long hour and go from stairs to stairs, floor to floor, because we're talking about Morocco, not the US, so you know how offices in Morocco are bad. Number three, Bushaib needs to fill an application. Number four, Bushaib needs to fill the application and read carefully the criteria and some lovely conditions. See how lovely the conditions are? And the conditions include a fixed and regular... Taken.
So here I think that you are being delusional, because once you go to the bank, this Bushaib that you talked about, he isn't going to say, I want 20 million dirhams, and the banker is going to say, you want 20 million dirhams? Okay, here you go. They are going to look into his background, and they are going to give a loan to someone who can't pay them back. That's what you need to know. Bushaib can't take as much money as he wants, nor Hamid or Ahmed.
Excuse me, but have you ever been in a bank in Morocco? Because personally, I've been a bank law while my dad decided to take on a bank law, and he has waited for a long hour. So please, just ask your parents if they already taken a bank law and how situation horrible. And I'm not taking any points yet. Well, I was saying, the condition includes a fixed and regular incomes to ensure a bank law. Number two, have low debt ratio. Three, not be listed as a bank in prohibition. Not having a legal precedent. And being able to pay the interest. Number five, the bank will look at Bushaib's decision. Number six, the decision. 2 days after, Bushaib got an answer. And unfortunately, his request was refused. See how bank law didn't make Moroccan life easier, and this is a true story from a true Bushaib, and you can find the source at the internet if you look for him. Dear audience, you should open your eyes clearly and think about what my team and I are trying to say, and trying to show you the real truth about bank law. And bank laws hasn't made Moroccans' life easier. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, today, right now, I feel so sad to remember this story. But I think I have to, because this is life, and we have to learn from other experiences. Ahmed is a 25-year-old man, same as Meji. They have both succeeded and started working at the same company. Meji was about to get married, and Ahmed was waiting for a newborn. Can they demand more? Of course no. They were living their best moments. But life doesn't work this way. Suddenly, their life turned upside down. Everything they had believed in had gone away. Meji was laying in a hospital. Ahmed was dying at home. They both needed more money to survive. No friends, no parents, nobody that could help them. Only faith in God that keep them alive. Meji knew that God asked us to do the cause so that he can finish the work. He believed that in every cloud there is a silver lining, and in his cloud, it's a bank loan. He fighted his sickness using this money, and he survived thanks to God. But unfortunately for Ahmed, it wasn't the same fate. He gave up and he didn't search for any solution. At the end, God took her soul, letting her wife, his newborn, alone. After hearing such a tragedy, dear opposite, do you still think that bank loans doesn't make our life easier? I'm sorry, but if you still think that, then you are inhuman. Because bank loans doesn't just make our life easier, it gives us another chance to live. And thank you.
So, as an answer for you, my dear friend, do you know the quote saying, so this is the solution, okay? So don't dream about having a Ferrari or I don't know what. That's later. So, before we get to start, let me first break the ice. So I'll represent myself. My name is Old Morocco's Banks. You can call me Siyash Bank, Tijari Wafa Bank, BMC, or even Crédit du Maroc. Easier, closer, and faster. This is our slogan. We, Banks Institution, provide to our dear and lovely customers the best services. On the top, our flexible loans. Interest? Who's talking about interest? No, just forget about it. We're gonna provide you the lowest rates. Because by the end, our goal is to make your life easy, to provide you all you want, to make your dream come true. Okay, but that was too much. Let's take the mask off and show you the reality. Actually, we don't care about your pity life. Mind your own business. Our only goal is benefit from you and profit from you. Do you want to know how? Well, first, by charging fees for services, then trending financial instrument in the financial market, and then, of course, hit you with those high-rate interests. Dear audience, that was the dirty banking work secret. But now, just tell me how an institution that thinks just about its own profits and benefits will have the time to think about making your life easy? That is impossible. Please, if you know the answer, just tell me. Don't be mean. As my last point,
Until 2004, microcredit associations were putting projects and finding out how to invest the loan to help poor people achieve their goals and accomplish their dreams. We take an example of Yunus, who benefits from this service, a young Moroccan from the city of Khnifra in the middle of the Atlas Mountains of Morocco, aged 24 years old. Yunus stopped studying at the high school level, after which he spent most of his time entertaining and sitting in cafes. After being fed up with his family, his only refuge was the Woodscrew, which provides microcredit in his city. Yunus, through this association, was able to obtain a loan of 8,000 dirhams, about 800 euros, which helped him rent a small cosmetic shop. In order to optimize the loan, the young man joined a training course, which helps unemployed young people gain experience in conducting businesses. In this regard, Yunus says, "My project is well done, and I'm also able to save money every month." As is the case for Yunus, many low-income earners benefit from this service. Rural women in Morocco are also more likely to receive these loans than men. With women, they usually invest in small businesses such as sewing and livestock. Microcredit has emerged in Morocco through associations, encouraged by the large number of donors from Western foreign organizations, an association primarily concerned with youth issues, and by donation to the provision of loan programs. As the number of associations working in this area increased, Morocco intervened and passed a law regulating the work and roles of microcredit association. Thank you.
You've been speaking about Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and who are Americans, and Shehbi, who is a Moroccan.
Do you really think that all Moroccans are rich? Because 11 million people in Morocco live in abject poverty, and over 1 million Moroccan have at least took one bank loan in their lifetime. So I suggest you stop being selfish and think about others. Moving on. Dear opponents, when when tourists come to Morocco, they're astonished by the number of luxury cars, Range Rovers, Porsche, and etc. They start thinking that Moroccans are rich, but in fact, we aren't. Instead of being wealthy, we're sick. And this disease is incurable, which is Ben Ali and Ben Alik, the love of showing up. Yasser doesn't buy a Range Rover because he can't afford because he wants to. He only does so because his neighbor just bought a Porsche. And that's how people like Hisham, Yasser are swimming in debt. That's why bank loans have not made Moroccans' life easier, but harder. Yasser or Hisham, the physics teacher whom I talked earlier, are examples of what I'm saying right now. You may say that all what I've been doing is showing bank loans made life harder. And you may be saying, how are we going to build a house or buy a car? The answer is quite simple. Be responsible. Learn how to save money. Don't spend it on stupid things like iPhones or latest cars. Spend them on things that will help you to build your future and live a good life. Thank you.
According to Brahim Hebrish in the official page of EcoLife, the banking sector is growing to more than 39,000 people at the end of 2012. So bank became the only way for bankers to feed and to live. Bank became the only way for them to build a family, to satisfy them, to let them guarantee a peaceful and stable life. Bank became also the only way to a successful career. Bank became their second house and also their only refuge that makes them forget their personal problems. In case bank loans are made for paying these bankers who work hard to ensure your well-being and your monies. And it is also the only way to let this bank function. So, dear audience, according to the thinking of the opposition team, we have to stop taking bank loans because it's not beneficial for the Moroccans. In other words, over than 39,000 people will get jobless. By listening to the opposition team and stopping bank loans, we are going to create a bigger problem, which is the unemployment. By listening to the opposition team, we are going to ruin the life of the young, ambitious people who are determined to achieve their goals and who can't know because of stereotypes. So, dear opponents, if you think that stopping bank loans is a small act that won't affect negatively a lot of lives, then think again. Because you're thinking selfishly. Try to sleep in a room. You won't be able to have a good sleep. And that's the point. A mosquito have this huge effect on us. So what about us? Humans? Thank you.
So, you said that one man got to be famous and got a Ferrari and insulted his teacher. The teacher who sacrificed time and energy to teach him life basics. Well, that's not our subject today anyways. If one person got a Ferrari because he got a loan, what about his other classmates? Well, of course, 3 or 4 of them got a good life, such as Ahmed and Mehdi. But what about the rest of his other classmates? Well, the ones that weren't so brilliant and needed loans for their normal businesses. Well, they're living in a house they can't afford and suffer each month to pay school, water, electricity, and their debts to the bank. Can you imagine the stress they live at the end of the month when they read the mail and find that they're late paying their debts again? We don't need to talk about a man like Bill Gates who succeeded because of one bank loan or Mark Zuckerberg. We want to talk about the other 90% of the population that are stressing like hell and just hope to repay their debts. They don't want to be billionaires, just like you said, or buy a Ferrari. Happiness is not measured by the amount of money you have. I'm sorry you got the truth this way, but you will never be a billionaire. 10 years from now, after you take your first loan, you'll be living in a small apartment, having more and more loans just to pay your previous ones. Thank you.
Dear members of the opposition, the point, or what I'm talking about, isn't about Moroccans being rich, or isn't about Moroccans being really rich. It's about Moroccans who went from a poor lifestyle, a miserable lifestyle, to a decent way of living. And also, I said that Shebi is an example, and you telling us that I won't be a millionaire, or that this beautiful audience won't be a millionaire, I find it really disgusting to say those type of things. Also, the example that you told me, Miss, the leader of the opposition, you told me, "لبس قدك هواتك." Keep تلبسي قدك, and you will see what will happen to you. Also, on another tone, we gave you. Sorry, but I don't have enough time. On another point, on another tone, we gave you throughout this debate convincing arguments, logical reasoning, which I believe you would understand, examples, life-living examples, and we also give you statistics with their sources. But you know what? I tried also to put economics as easy for you since you are science mathematics. Also, what I want to tell you is that you said that people who had loans or who were drowning in debt are having a miserable lifestyle. Dear audience, most of you are people that I've never seen before or people that I've never even talked to. But I want to ask you a question. How are you feeling? You're feeling good. What if I tell you that 10 years from now, you are going to be in debt, you are going to take loans from the bank, your parents may now be in debt, but still, how are you feeling? See, they aren't as miserable as you try to make them seem. They aren't losers. They are my beloved audience. They are going to be rich one day. They are going to be successful. Thank you.
We can't all be billionaire. Taking bank loans won't make of you Mark Zuckerberg, but a person that's surviving loans and stress and depression. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you a quote. I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling future on a large scale. A quote by Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the USA. This quote is summing up all our opposition and all what we were trying to say during this debate. And this quote gave a comparison between armies and bank loans. And guess who's more dangerous? Bank loans. It is clear as a sky without cloud that bank loans are a whale of self-destruction and self-depression due to additional burden on costs and goods, security needs and creditworthiness, the partial funding requirements, the processing fee, prepayment penalties charged, interest, and more and more. And bank loans are the most horrible mistake that a person could commit in his life. Because banks are like those vampires who sucks blood from us human beings and don't think about their health, only about money. And a last point to add, dear government, I find that the only case where this student will be a true one is if only we have banks in Morocco that give us loan and leave us alone. And one thing to add, bank loans will never ever be a solution for Morocco. Thank you.